Live from the Channel 4 studios in Boston, WBZ News at 10 starts right now.
Good evening. An elderly woman has been killed in a car crash, and police say she was the victim of a drunk driver.
And the force of the crash was so...
Turning our attention to a first look at weather now. A near perfect fall day outside. Brilliant sunshine, a little bit of a bite in the air.
And we are starting to talk about fall as we take a live look at the city at this hour. Meteorologist Barry.
Back to you, Katie and Jim.
Barry, thank you. An Amber Alert out of Pennsylvania ended in Boston this morning.
Officers were searching for a mom with a very sick baby. WBZ's...
A Plymouth man is under arrest tonight for operating under the influence after driving nearly 20 miles the wrong way on Route 3. Police say Kevin Palmer crashed into a car heading north in Bourne. Now, nobody was hurt in that crash, but Palmer kept going. State police had to shut down the highway and put stop sticks on the road. Palmer was eventually arrested after two of his tires blew out near the Sagamore Bridge. A Massachusetts state trooper who was injured when his cruiser was hit by a truck on the Pike has been released from the hospital. A trooper was working a construction detail near exit 17 in Newton Center when he was hit around 10 o'clock last night. Police say the cruiser was hit from behind and then pushed into the median. The driver was cited for failing to move over for the stopped cruiser and the construction detail. Police in Arlington tonight are searching for an armed bank robber. This is the sketch of the man police say showed a gun during a holdup of the Winchester Savings Bank Friday afternoon. The search for the suspect actually led to a lockdown of several schools in the Medford Street area. If you have any information, you are asked to call police. Now to the presidential campaign 2016. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are now nearly deadlocked in New Hampshire, less than 4 months before the Democratic primary there. A new Suffolk University Boston Globe poll puts Clinton at 37% to Sanders 35%. Clinton may have turned things around with her debate performance earlier this week. More than half of the voters questioned in this poll say she won that debate.
You know, you have been waiting for this one, the showdown in Indianapolis. Who can forget? It was January when the Colts claimed the Patriots were playing with underinflated footballs, and it all began.
I remember hearing something about that story a little bit. Yeah, tonight the Pats are in Indianapolis getting ready for what some are calling the revenge game that Patriots Nation has been anticipating for months. Dan Roach is here with more. Danny?
Well, Jim and Kate, this is
We often hear about politicians from rival cities making bets or teasing each other before big games. Indiana Governor Mike Pence is doing just that tonight, trying to tweak Patriots Nation over Deflategate. Governor Pence tweeted out a picture of a deflated football, adding the following caption, quote, "You can always tell when the Patriots are in town." By the way, neither funny nor clever. Governor Charlie Baker wasting little time in responding. You'll be glad to know the governor adding this picture to his Twitter feed, showing a Patriots-themed SUV pulled up to a dumpster with a Colts-themed car inside.
Well, a very special collection in Westwood today.
This is a nice one, yeah. The Freemasons of Westwood and Norwood collected teddy bears and other stuffed animals for first responders today. Now, firefighters and police carry these toys with them when they go out on calls. It's all part of something called Project Smile. It's aimed at providing a little bit of comfort to children who end up in some pretty traumatic situations.
Domestic violence or a fire or a car accident, the police officer is able to go in and take out a stuffed animal and try to calm the child down.
As a matter of fact, here's an example of just one of those situations. Last month, a state trooper on the Cape was able to offer a teddy bear to a little girl after her family was involved in a crash.
Were killed today after an alleged knife attack on Israelis.
Secretary of State John Kerry is planning to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Germany next week. As Jonathan Vigliotti reports, it's an attempt to stop the violence that's been getting worse over the past month.
Israeli troops stepped up patrol Saturday after
the fugitive Mexican drug kingpin known as El Chapo has reportedly been injured while on the run. Mexican investigators say Joaquin Guzman sustained injuries to his face and to one of his legs, but he still managed to escape the operation that was meant to return him to the same prison he broke out of back in July. Tonight, the U.S. is offering up to a $5 million reward for information leading to Guzman's arrest. Certainly no problems like that to deal with here. It was a beautiful fall day to be outdoors.
It was really perfect. Maybe a sweater or so on the banks of the...
It's going to be going up in this roller coaster ride here, you know.
If you're one of those diehards who doesn't want to turn your heat on, tonight's probably the night where you have to give in.
Tonight's the night.
No, I'm bundling up. No heat.
Really?
I'm bundling up.
Are you serious?
I am.
Diehard.
I'm proud of you.
No, well, okay, thanks. Thanks, Barry.
Okay.
Well, here's something else
tough.
to be proud of. Well, I'm going to go that far. An injured baby falcon will be getting some TLC from an expert.
A Waltham police officer found the wounded bird on the Winter Street Bridge. What did he do? He wrapped the falcon up in a blanket and took it personally to the MSPCA. And that's where a lab tech who specializes in wildlife rehabilitation took the bird home and will care for it until it's well enough to be released back into the wild.
And just a little baby there. Just imagine when he gets bigger.
My son's a huge fan of birds of prey like that, so he'll be really gratified to know that someone is taking care of an injured baby falcon.
And you probably just earned some brownie points because you had that story.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Brownie points with the sun. Can't go wrong. Well, as Barry mentioned, the temperatures are sliding, and we all remember what happened with the last winter with the tea.
In tonight's talker, would you support an increase in tea fares? What if it meant fewer problems on the tea? We'll discuss.
Well, it has not been a good year for the MBTA.
That is an understatement. A record-setting winter of snow had commuters stranded by the system by the thousands, and now the T is contemplating fare hikes. The oldest public transit system in the country says it needs more money for necessary upgrades. The T is also considering raising parking fees at its garages and lots, and perhaps even selling off some of its property.
And that brings us to tonight's talker. Should the T raise fares, and would you be for it if service improves? Because I know that's a caveat for a lot of folks. So, gentlemen?
That's the only caveat, right? I mean, maybe you'd pay another 25 cents or 50 cents to ride the T if you could guarantee that the green line wouldn't be glacially slowed through Boylston, that the red line would pick you up when it was supposed to.
And you wouldn't have to take the bus, several stops down. Because right now, people in Boston pay like $2.10.
Is that that's the lowest rate of some of the bigger cities?
If you go on the T, it's $2.10.
I think Governor Baker, initially when he first started, did this whole thing about how much money they had for improvements and hadn't been using it. So if it's me, I want to see the improvements first to the service, like you said, and then I may consider paying more money. But right now, you look at the roads, it's like the MBTA should be doing everything they can to get people off the roads. The commutes are so bad, and get them onto the T and improve service, and then raise the fares.
And to hear that when it snows, even just a few inches, this whole line shuts down or is going to shut down for 2 days. That
they have to prove it to us first.
Yeah, definitely.
Then they can raise the fees. That's
And they have several thousand acres or lots of land to sell, I believe.
Yeah, I would go with selling the land first.
Lease the lots, whatever. I'd go with that first before I'd raise the rates.
Barry, you can buy a couple lots and help us all out.
What a brilliant idea. That's fantastic.
I like that.
Let's go in together on that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because some of the rails
start
on
the business there, Dan.
some of the rails on the cars are 50 years old, too. So it's not
they're
like,
very old. The tracks
it's not
are
like
old.
they're new.
Right.
All right.
Need service, so I think we're all in agreement.
Okay.
Let's get it done then. Governor,
Yes.
you heard us. We're here.
Barry's buying. Well, we want to hear from you. You can tweet us tonight. Here's a look at our top stories at 10:30.
A fatal two-car accident in Westport last night. Police say a man was driving drunk when he slammed into a 74-year-old woman's car. She was thrown from her vehicle after it was forced 100 feet down the road. She was pronounced dead at a local hospital, and the driver was arrested and is now facing multiple charges. And to weather now. If you enjoyed today, great, but changes are in store.
Way to sell it, Jim Armstrong. Meteorologist Barry Burbank, it was great today. What about tomorrow, as Jim said?
Not going to be quite so great because it's going to be colder out in just a few minutes. I'll see you then. Jim?
Winter weather takes its toll on our cars, we all know that, and tonight it's also connected to a new recall of close to 30,000 Hyundais. Turns out some of the car makers' most popular models have trouble handling salt-treated roadways. The Hyundai just announced a recall of thousands of its Sonatas and Elantras sold all over New England. It turns out wintertime salt damage could cause the car's front coil springs to fracture and pop a tire. Recall notices will go out next month. To campaign 2016 now, Vice President Joe Biden is reportedly closer to making a decision about whether or not he's going to run for president. CNN's reporting tonight that Biden met with a powerful firefighters union president yesterday and indicated to him at least that he is planning to run. CNN also reporting this week Biden made some big phone calls to top Democratic strategists in key primary states like New Hampshire and South Carolina. Now, like everyone else, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton would definitely like to know what Biden plans to do.
There does come a point where a decision has to be made, but certainly I'm not in any way suggesting or recommending that the vice president accept any timetable other than the one that is clicking inside of him. He has to make this decision.
Secretary Clinton herself will be on center stage in Washington this Thursday. That's when she'll testify before the House committee investigating the 2012 attack on the consulate in Benghazi. The FBI is investigating a report, meantime, that the Dow Jones was hacked for trading tips. Dow Jones officials are denying those claims, but they say they are still looking into it. Bloomberg Business News reported Russian hackers were behind the breach. Pope Francis tonight looking to shake things up again. He is now calling for a more decentralized Catholic Church. The Pope issued that call at a special meeting of his bishops' advisory group. Now, gatherings like this are supposed to encourage the bishops to offer their advice on how to run the Catholic Church. The Pope, however, says he wants people to have more power. He wants to rethink the whole way the papacy works. Right now, conservative and progressive bishops are debating the Church's role in ministering to families. We've all seen Facebook friends posting a picture of their odometers when the mileage on their cars hits 100,000 or 200,000. But the fact is, Americans are keeping their cars for longer than ever.
And WBZ's Catherine Hauser now shows you how some drive. I appreciate that old car, no car payment.
That's got a nice smell to it as well.
Yeah, it smells like it's paid off.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the weather, because really it's the weekend. That's what we want to know. And tomorrow, some of us might not be getting out of bed for a while because it's going to be cold.
Stay under the covers, bundle up. Barry?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Well, certainly a chilly night to strip down.
That, however, is exactly, as you can see, what more than 1,000 Northeastern University students chose to do. Last night was the school's 10th annual underwear run, and it took over the streets of the Back Bay for part of the evening. Northeastern student organizers announcing on their Facebook page this is just a chance for them to, as they say, let loose and act like kids again.
Is running in your underwear is completely new.
Much more to come on the WBZ News at 10 tonight. An update on the condition of former basketball player and reality star Lamar Odom. A family spokesperson says Odom said hello to other family members and even gave a thumbs up yesterday morning. Odom's aunt and his estranged wife, Khloe Kardashian, are thanking fans for their kindness and their understanding. But the Kardashian family says they will not be posting any updates, instead focusing on Odom's recovery. By the way, investigators are still retracing the former NBA star's $75,000 visit to the brothel where this all happened. And we've seen, all of us, I think, have seen those incredible million-dollar auction prices paid for fancy items ranging from paintings to sports memorabilia. And
now a house where rock and roll history was conceived can be yours. It is up for sale. It is this 828-square-foot home in Long Branch, New Jersey. Why did I just become a real estate agent? It's where Bruce Springsteen wrote the entire Born to Run album. The two-bedroom, single-bath home is on sale for $299,000. It's a deal. Could be the land of hope and dreams for a Springsteen fan. And the best part is it is only a block and a half from the beach.
That house anywhere in Metro West, $3.4 million.
Exactly. I think you could just put a big, plaque on the front saying Bruce Springsteen was here and sell it for more.
Absolutely. As we go to break, a happy birthday to Detroit rapper Eminem, who turns
43 today.
43.
We all feel slightly old.
Oh, happy birthday.
It is the one-day year when thrill seekers get to walk and jump off a West Virginia bridge.
Absolutely not. Daredevils from around the world were in Fayetteville today for the annual Bridge Day festivities. It is the one day a year where it is completely legal, though not necessarily sane, I suppose, to jump off the span with a parachute. It's 876 feet off the ground, making it the third highest bridge in the U.S. The Bridge Day Festival of jumping off into the New River Gorge below started back in 1980 and somehow continues to this very day.
Probably in 1980 because they finally had parachutes.
Yes, I guess.
Well, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night, everyone.
Live from the Channel 4 studios in Boston, WBZ News at 11 starts right now.
A Westport family is in mourning tonight after their beloved grandmother was killed by a man who police say was drunk behind the wheel. Good evening, I'm Jim Armstrong.
And I'm Katie Brace. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Now, the woman's car was hit from behind.
Thank you. Also tonight, an Amber Alert that began in Pennsylvania ended in Boston today with the arrest of a mother who had a very sick baby. WBZ's Christina Hager shows us how a nurse at Children's Hospital helped solve this case.
Children's Hospital.
It is time to get ready for some much cooler weather. As a matter of fact, some communities could see temperatures below freezing tonight. Here's meteorologist Barry Burbank with the details. Barry?
That's for sure, Jim. More on the weather coming up in a few minutes. 7-day accurate forecast is just minutes away. Jim?
Barry, thank you. Absolutely great weather today as thousands of rowers from all over the world and even more fans enjoyed the first day of the Head of the Charles Regatta. This happens to be the 50th anniversary of the world's largest two-day rowing event. The championship races are set for tomorrow.
in Indianapolis.
This will be the first time, of course, that these two teams have faced off since that championship AFC game where, well, there may have been some, let's call them infamous accusations about deflated balls.
Accusations at this point. Rochi is here with a preview. What do you think?
Yeah, a little bit of anger on the Patriots side. You can
Danny, thank you. You knew this was coming. Indiana Governor Mike Pence is trying to tweak Patriots Nation over Deflategate.
Trying.
No.
Governor Pence tweeted out a picture of a deflated ball. Really? Have we not seen this before? And he added the following caption: "You can always tell when the Patriots are in town."
Patriots Nation, worry not. Governor Charlie Baker wasted no time in responding, adding this picture to his Twitter feed. It shows a Patriots-themed SUV with a Colts-themed car in a dumpster.
Very special collection in Westwood today.
Yeah, the Freemasons of Westwood and Norwood spent part of the day collecting teddy bears and stuffed animals to give to first responders. And here's why. Police and firefighters carry those toys with them when they go out on emergency calls. It's all part of a project called Project Smile, aimed at providing a little bit of comfort to children who find themselves in traumatic situations.
Domestic violence or a fire or a car accident, the police officer was able to go in and take out a stuffed animal and try to calm the child down.
Here's one such example of exactly that. Last month, a state trooper on the Cape was able to offer a teddy bear to a little girl after her family was involved in a bad crash.
Taking a ride in the middle of a mudslide.
Coming up, how some people rode out the storm in Southern California.
At least 4 Palestinians are dead in the latest round of violence in the Middle East.
Secretary of State John Kerry is set to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Germany next week. As Jonathan Vigliotti explains, it's an attempt to stop violence that's been on the rise for the past month.
Israeli troops stepped up patrols.
The woman blamed for the disappearance of artworks at the Boston Public Library is now out of a job. The library confirmed they have fired Susan Glover. Glover was at one time in charge of special collections at BPL. 2 prints, including one by Rembrandt, were reported missing earlier this year. They were then later found to have been misplaced. Glover had been on paid leave.
Well, it was a very chilly night to strip down.
But as you can plainly see, that's exactly what more than 1,000 Northeastern University students chose to do. Last night was that school's 10th annual underwear run. It took over the streets of the Back Bay for a good part of the evening. Northeastern student organizers announced on their Facebook page they think this is just a great way for them to let loose and, in their words, to act like kids again.
There's so many things to say that we cannot.
Maybe, okay, how about this one? Maybe better last night weather-wise than tomorrow night. How about that?
Very PC, yes, because now it's just cold.
Yeah, the temperatures are not down in the skivvies yet. I mean 30s.
See what he did there? Ah, very nice.
Oh, okay. Anyway, it is.
Tomorrow is the day that fans really have been waiting for, I would say.
Absolutely. Dan Roach is here with sports. Tell us what's up tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Mr. Brady will be quite motivated to do a, put a whooping on those Colts.
As we are to watch.
Should be interesting as we get. So there you go. A little bit of everything tonight.
I know, Brady, I know the Patriots have to be classy, give the measured answer when they get this question. I'm dying for this game tomorrow.
I think he is too. It's been 8 months of heck for this poor guy. So I think they'll go out and they'll try to put up as many points as they can. But sports, you just never know what's going to happen. But if they can, I think they certainly will try to run up the score.
Prediction on the spread?
81-17, I've been saying it all week.
All right, fair enough.
81-17, I'm on it.
Still to come, Santa has a new job.
Coming up, what old St. Nick will be doing this year and whether or not it's going to interfere with his real job. That's right, he's won election on the North Pole City Council in Alaska. Mr. Santa Claus, and yes, he legally changed his name, waged a successful write-in campaign in the recent municipal elections there. Claus has previously worked as a park ranger and former law enforcement administrator. He says he's ready for the new job and will be sworn in and get to work on Monday.
Who knew? Such an impressive resume. Well, thanks so much for watching WBZ News at 11.
The Phantom Gourmet is on next, right here on WBZ. Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.